Yo, yo, yo. I want to see if people can hear me. We're going to wait for people to pile in here. Let's see. How can I see chat? Yo, yo, yo. Can the one person that's in here hear me? Yo, yo, yo. Okay, cool. You guys can hear me. How many people are in chat? Because it shows me there's one person, but it looks like there's at least 5 people here. Okay, there's 13. Okay, let's start then. How many of you guys have seen my recent live streams? Yo, yo, how many of you guys have seen my recent live streams? Like, if you've seen my recent live streams, put a 1 in the chat. If you haven't, put a 2. If you've seen my recent live streams, put a 1. Because today, I want to talk about them. I want to talk about some insights that are, like, really important. Because my patrons have already seen there's, like, 5 more episodes, and they've already seen them. And, yeah, this is a cooked setup. I'm in an airport, dude. And they've already seen them, and it just gets, like... This feels very intimate. How's this angle? No, I'm kidding. Um, yeah, dude. Some of it gets worse. One if it gets a lot better. One if it's like really good. One of them is really good. And I think if you were there live, you would have probably seen it. But I want to talk about some things that I noticed that a lot of people are doing wrong. And if this is you, yeah, let me take these off because I'm on your side anyways. If this is you, I need you to like immediately make this change. So the first thing that I think is cooked that is not related to candidates is like CS schools will give you a CS degree. If you take like 5 CS courses, you're now a CS major. So we recently had a guy that was like an Amazon software engineer. Some people said, oh, he's not an Amazon software engineer. Other people said, yeah, he's an Amazon software engineer. That doesn't matter. I personally think he actually was an Amazon software engineering intern, as he said, because when I was watching him via video, I could tell like he was being honest. I could just tell. I wouldn't entertain it if I thought he was bullshitting. I could tell he was being honest. The guy that didn't know what a CSV file was. So I think school not only failed him, I think he also failed himself in a sense. But like, how is it possible that when I asked him, which courses did you take? Did you take networking? No. Did you take computer architecture? No. Did you take operating systems? No. How can you be a 4th-year computer science degree and not take any of those courses? So that's the first thing, that like people are just taking data structures and algorithms and that's it. Now they're computer science majors. The next thing is that I think that the entire industry, don't come in asking personal questions like how much money does somebody make. You're gonna be banned from this live stream for the next 30 minutes. Okay. Um, the next thing is a lot of curriculums just aren't teaching people things, or I'm not sure if people are internalizing what's even being taught. So let me give you an example. Every time I go live and I ask a candidate something, I'm not going to ask them a question in a topic that they don't really understand. There's no point. What's the point of asking some dude like, hey, dude, do you know what TCP is? And he's like, I've never taken a networking course. Okay? There's no point in doing that. So what I do is I say, did you take a networking course? And they say, yeah. Then I say, okay, well, what is TCP? So there was this one guy, guys, and I think it's going to be tomorrow's episode. I was talking about C++, and I asked him, do you know what a vector is? He's like, oh yeah, I know what a vector is. I'm like, okay, how's a vector implemented? He's like, a stack. Um, which is not a good answer. At the same time, he then said, okay, I'm actually better at C. So I'm like, okay, what do you learn in C? And then he says, well, we learned a lot about like malloc and free. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about malloc. What is the malloc function signature? And the dude could not tell me. I said, what does malloc take in? And he said the number of bits of memory to allocate. So that was wrong. It's a number of bytes. And like, this is very basic. Even if the guy was confusing bits and bytes, knowing the difference is very basic. Like if you go to an interview and you say, somebody asks you how many bits are in a byte and you don't know, it's crazy. And then I asked him, what does malloc return? And the dude said a Boolean. I clarified with him. Before I even asked him, what does malloc return? I clarified with him, hey, dude, what does malloc do? He said, okay, malloc allocates memory. Okay. So the next logical conclusion is if malloc allocates memory, then malloc returns the allocated memory in the form of a pointer. So I asked him, so what does malloc return? And he said, a Boolean. Like, how does that make sense? Like, how do you put the two together? So I think one, schools aren't teaching kids the courses they need to. Like they should force you to take operating systems. They should force you to take networking. But even if they're forcing kids to take these, those kids aren't even listening. Yeah, some guy said I knew that. I don't even write C. Some kids aren't even listening in the actual course themselves. So what's the point of going to school if you're not listening? Um, the next thing, guys, is like ChatGPT needs to be banned from everything, almost everything. Like there should be a test. Like before you ask ChatGPT, it should test you if you know like basic shit about what's being asked. Because it's very clear that if you're a fourth year student and you don't know what a JSON file is, somewhere in those 4 years, somebody screwed up. Either you let yourself down or the school let yourself down. Okay? There is no way you go through an Amazon internship and 4 years of university and you don't know what a CSV file is. I knew what a CSV file was when I was like 14, still working with Excel in my business class in high school. I even remember the teacher's name, Miss Rosen. She was like a 300-pound woman and she was teaching Excel. And I knew what a CSV file was. And she barely knew how to turn on a computer. Okay? That's something that's like so important. And now a lot of people ask, like, why are you asking basic questions? It's like, okay, why would I ask somebody what like selective acknowledgements are in TCP if they don't even know what TCP is? Now, if you come in, Miss Rosen was balking, I guess. If you come into a interview and I ask you like, what's the difference between a vector and a list, and you don't know, you're cooked. That brings me to the third thing that my third or fourth, I lost count at this point, that I want to talk about. Guys, so many people are Leetcode brained. You have no idea how many people are Leetcode brained. If I was to ask you what is Leetcode brain, what would you guys say? I'll give you guys my definition, but I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think Leetcode brained is. What does it mean to like be Leetcode brained in your opinion? Somebody that's Leetcode brained, all they know is how to code in the context of Leetcode. So let me give you an example. So the Amazon software engineer guy, I asked him, what version of Python do you use? And he says, oh, in Leetcode, they just give you the version. And then I asked him, but like you code outside of Leetcode, right? Like you don't just do Leetcode with Python. He's like, oh yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, how do you know what version you're using? And he's like, oh, I don't know, Python 3 maybe, right? Another guy, guys, the guy that is gonna be featured tomorrow. I asked him like, what's an unordered map? So imagine I'm the interviewer. This was like a mock interview to gauge his skill set. So I asked him like, what's an unordered map? When somebody asks you what's it, because he says he does C++ for Leetcode or code forces or whatever. So I asked him, what's an unordered map? So what I would expect a candidate to say is, it's an associative container that maps keys to values. That's pretty simple, and it's like a pretty straightforward answer, right? Then I might follow up and say, well, what's the access time for finding a value with an associated key? O of 1. Okay, cool. Right? But when I asked him, what is an unordered map? He said, oh, unordered map is like less hackable than a map. So anytime I do a Leetcode problem, I use an unordered map. I'm like, what, hackable? Like, what do you mean hackable? He's like, oh, my friend told me to use an unordered map instead of a map because it gets hacked less. And I'm like, what do you mean hacked less? Like, I thought this guy's talking about cybersecurity. Like this guy talking about like operating system security fundamentals. I have no idea what he was talking about. And then I clarified. I'm like, okay, what do you mean by unordered map is less hackable? He said, oh, it's less likely that somebody on code forces will give you a test case that causes it to fail if if you use an unordered map. So like people don't even know how to define containers. All they know how to do is define them in the context of, can this help me pass a Leetcode or not? So that's being Leetcode brained. Just not knowing at all what a container is, just memorizing absolutely no understanding. No understanding whatsoever. And then I ask him, okay, which one of these two containers hashes, the map or the unordered map? And he said the map. I'm like, no, the map compares, the unordered map hashes. So, like, what's going on in school? I have no idea. ChatGPT, um, Leetcode brained, not learning in school the proper courses, uh, failing yourself in terms of like not doing any study outside of school. This also relates to another candidate that I thought was like a super good sport about his whole situation. He called in and he said, listen, I have a 4-year degree and I can't find a job for like 2 to 3 years. In my mind, it's like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing for 4 years in school? Like, who's failing you? Is it your school? Is it you? How can you go through 4 years and just not know what's going on? And I actually, guys, I thought fizzbuzz was a meme. I thought like asking people fizzbuzz and having them fail, the most basic Leetcode like question was a meme. But so far, fizzbuzz is undefeated. Every candidate I've asked to do fizzbuzz, they've either taken too long or they just couldn't do it. So today's video, there was literally a guy that was like a 2 years of experience JavaScript developer. He could not do fizzbuzz. I'm not on the toilet, bro. I'm like in an airport. Um, yeah, I wouldn't stream on the toilet. That's for patrons only. But yeah, like fizzbuzz is undefeated, and I literally thought that fizzbuzz was a joke, like a meme at this point. Also, what's crazy, guys, is that a lot of people, a lot of people don't know like any technologies outside of like I use Python for Leetcode, or I use unordered map for Leetcode. It's like, dude, do you know like how to send data from one computer to another? Do you not find that an important skill to brush up on? Do you know how to parse a CSV file? Yeah, some dude said, I asked him what database, this was the first guy I ever called in. I asked him, what database do you use? He said S3. That's like saying I use Google Drive as my database. Like, and this guy interned at Amazon. Or I think he said he worked full time. No, I think he interned. Or maybe he worked full time. Anyways, he had a master's. And he said that S3 is his database. Like, imagine you're in an interview and they say, what database do you have familiarity with? And you say Google Drive. People literally were defending him in the comment section, like, bro, S3 is a real database, bro. It's like, no, dude, it's a file store. It's not a database. Just because you can search for a file doesn't make it a database. Some guy said, oh, it's a key value pair database. The key is the file and the value is the contents. Okay, so your SSD is a database. When they ask you what database exposure do you have in an interview, you're going to say, my SSD. Every day on my computer, I go on my SSD and I'm interfacing with a live database. No. Um, Now, this whole like live stream concept is actually new to me and kind of random. I just decided to let people do call-ins for free because I realized like obviously not everybody can afford $200 for half an hour, 350 for an hour in a private one-on-one session. And when I'm bored and I'm at home and I just want to like play video games, I'd rather play video games with you guys and talk to you guys and have people call in. So effectively I'd put like a Google Meet and I'd let people call in. And like this format is in flux, so I'm trying my best to be as patient with people, but at the same time, like if somebody says something ridiculous, guys, I'm human. I can't I can't like be this like rock, and that's all not good content anyways. So effectively like like what I'm getting at is the format of this content might be subject to some change, but I think I've gotten it down pretty good. Like I think I've taken like a measured approach. I'm actually pretty stoic when it comes to asking people questions. What really pushes me over the edge is when somebody just posts something extremely ridiculous or funny in chat, and I read chat, and I just like burst out laughing. And I think a lot of people are pretty good sports about it that call in. They realize I'm not laughing at them. Like, if the point of the show was to laugh at people, nobody would call in because effectively, like, you're calling in to get a gauge of where you are relative to where you need to be in order to improve. So it's kind of like a mock technical, if that makes sense. So those are my takeaways, guys. Leetcode brain, not listening in class. Classes aren't teaching you anything. You're not applying what you learned in class. You don't know what the proper technologies are. And the next 4 days, literally, guys, every day, I believe it's 10 a.m. CST, every day at 10 a.m. CST, there's going to be a new video for the next 4 days at least. I want to go live again for an actual formal session, I think in 2 days, because I'm actually currently in transit visiting family. So I'm going to do a call in probably in 2, 3 days. I'm going to do at least one for sure next week. Um, but yeah, before I get going, let's see when my flight is. Give me a sec. Think of questions. If you guys have any questions, let me just see what my flight is. Okay, boarding time. Oh, dude, boarding time at 10, and it's 9 right now. So I have an hour literally. Um, where am I going? I'm going to visit family in Israel. This is not the point of this live stream isn't to call, it's to kind of summarize the past couple of calls and the calls you guys will be seeing soon. Let's see some questions here. You inspired me to go into the office for the first time after our talk. Okay. Um, do you suggest to do projects instead of lead code? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, is your team lead waiting? That was pretty funny. Is it safe to visit Israel right now? Yeah. Are you going to launch programming courses? Probably not. I might do like a quant dev type course, but it'll be like probably like 10, 15 bucks a month. How important is multiple languages? Guys, some of you guys don't even know how to check your language version. So before you go to ask me about multiple versions, check, know how to like run a program outside of LeetCode. And dude, oh, the guys, the worst case, I think I'm a good interviewer. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of like be a little um, prideful. I think I'm a good interviewer. So what I'll always do, guys, in these live streams is I'll ask somebody, like the guy that recently was on that video, the 2 years of experience JavaScript software engineer. I ask him like, um, do you know what an event loop is? Because I'm clarifying. I just don't want to ask what is an event loop. There's no point of asking if he doesn't know. So I ask, do you know what an event loop is? He says yes. Ask him, so what is it? He says it's a for loop. And I'm like, and after he says for loop, he says, actually, I don't know. So why would you say you know, and then I ask you, well, what is it? And then you say you don't know. I think it's because people are just not used to being interviewed, and they're not used to like, I wouldn't even call it being put on the spot. It's just like they're not used to needing to back up anything because nobody calls them out. Dude, that was so funny. Yeah, you saw that. Yeah. Um, no, it's more embarrassing to say I don't know. It's more embarrassing to say I know, and then I ask you, so what is it? And you say you don't know, than it is to just say I don't know. If I ask somebody like what is, I'll ask somebody, did you take a networking course? And then if they say yeah, then I'll ask networking questions. If they say no, I'll just move on, right? Yeah, and if you guys were noticing, guys, people think I'm really stupid for some reason. I don't get it. It seems like it seems like the weaker the candidate is technically, the more stupid they think I am. So I asked that guy that was 2 years of experience, a JavaScript software engineer guy. I asked him in the most recent video, I asked him something along the lines of, what's the modulo operator? I asked him, what's the modulo operator? Like, what's the name for the operator to find if something's perfectly divisible by a number? And he said, I don't know it in English. So I said, okay, well, what's it in Hindi? Somebody in chat knows Hindi. He says, I don't know it in Hindi. So I say, okay, well, what's your native language? He said something with a K. I forget. Kashmir. I don't know. I said, okay, say it in Kashmir. And he said, my team lead's calling me. My team lead's calling me. I have to go. Like, dude, just admit you don't know it. It's okay. It's okay. Like, do you think I'm that stupid that I'm like, oh, okay, well, your team lead's calling, so that makes sense. Okay, yeah, your team lead's calling. And then he stays on the call for the next 20 minutes. Like, where's your team lead at, dude? Where the hell's the team lead? I asked him, like, you can ask the team lead, get the team lead in the call, bro. Wrap in the team lead for fizzbuzz. Let's see, get the tech lead in on this. Um, it's not exhausting because I'm just playing video games and just like yapping in the background. And so, and people like calling in and they find it useful. So, yeah. Yeah, Rithik, if you want to call into the next stream, I'm going to be in Israel, right? So I think the time zone will be closer to wherever I'm assuming you're in India, so the time zone will be closer to India. So it'll probably be easier for you. How's your hair so good? Finasteride and minoxidil. And then I put hair products and shit. Um, Knowing you don't know something is like the first step to knowing, though. Yeah, and that's the problem. People are just afraid in tech to admit that they don't know. That's why, like, I will literally not ask somebody a question that I'm not unfamiliar with. So I think in that very video, I asked him, name me 5 Linux commands, and he named like 3. And then I asked him about like the top command, and then he like answered. And I'm like, well, I actually don't remember exactly the columns and that are shown in top, so I'm not gonna probe you on this, you know? There's no point in doing that because it's just why would I ask something that I'm not familiar with? That's what I don't like, guys. When like interviewers ask hard lead codes, and it's just like, let's be real. Would you be able to do this? Like, why are you asking me something you can't do? You know, um, I always ask all the questions I ask are questions I know the answer to. I'm not going to ask you something just for the sake of asking. I'm a graduate in data science. What do you think of data science and learning it at a university? Um, these past like 2 live streams, I've lost all hope in university, honestly. Like, I've lost all hope in university. By the way, guys, if you guys want to become a channel member, you can click join at the bottom. It's literally $2, and that allows me to see your comments highlighted when I can't see other people's comments highlighted, and I'm more likely to answer your questions. And it just supports the live streams. The live streams are kind of like a show. Would you rather watch Netflix and have your mind rot, or would you rather watch the Coding Jesus Calling show where you actually learn about like basic concepts you need to pass? You know what I mean? And I'm gonna make a lot of shorts from from this content. A lot of shorts. I'm gonna try to post at least 3 shorts a day. Actually, at most 3 shorts. I don't want to spam you guys with shorts. But like this is a content breadbasket. Nobody else on YouTube is doing this sort of content. Just having like literally people call in and people in the chat just go crazy and it's like fun, you know? I grinded Leetcode for quant, yeah. But like I wasn't Leetcode brain. Leetcode was like the last thing I was doing. Guys, if you keep spamming the same question and tagging me, you're probably just going to be banned. Like, have some manners. This is the latest C++ book that I'm reading, and I'm going to make a video about it. I'm going to make a standalone video about it, but this book, it's a very good book in my opinion. It talks about C++23, so it's very good. I mean, on vacation, yeah, something like that. Oh, Office Hours with CJ. That's a good name for the call-in show. If you're asking, should we do lead code in C++ or Python, you're already lead code brained. Your like brain is like 30% lead code rotted, in my opinion. That's the wrong question. The question is, how do I become proficient in C++ or Python? Not should I do Leetcode in C++ or Python. My hair was actually not receding, but thinning, and like it's now like really full. So it really helped. Shubham, you keep calling, you keep cop Shubham, I'm probably not gonna, let's be real, because you keep spamming all my content and like emailing me 100 times. Well, not 100 times, but like you're spamming the same message in chat. You comment, how do I call in? How do I call in? On every live stream, on every premiere. You're emailing me, how do I call in? Dude, I'm probably not gonna let you in. Like just it's just like basic manners. Some people just don't. You either learned it when you were 4 years old or you didn't. So if you want to call in, you wait for the live stream to come up, you click the link, and you wait for me to let you in. Just simple. Don't need to spam me and this. If you want to talk to me one on one, you can pay me for that. That's how you get in. That's how you get in contact with me immediately. But like spamming my live chat and then just trying to like get into a free call in by spamming my live chat, it's not how it works. I have 4 years of data science and 2 years of experience in BSA. Want to break into data engineering or software engineering? Do you think it's doable? I think everything's doable, dude. Hey, CJ. So see Dom Scripts? Dom Scripts is a member. So I see his chats immediately and he has a cool like sigil beside his name. I don't know, but I can tell you what I think it is. It's helped me in every interview. Yeah, literally like when I'm unsure in an interview, I say, I've heard about this topic before. I'm not entirely sure, but if you'd like, I can infer based off my previous knowledge. Another thing I wanted to talk about is people being machine learning brained. So like the next call tomorrow, pay attention. The guy's like over focus on machine learning, but he has no idea what machine learning is doing for him. So it's like solving all these problems and he has no idea what's going like how it's being done. So it's like, okay, like machine learning did it. It's just like, well, yeah, it's AI rot. There's lead code rot and there's AI rot. So I would say like most candidates, if you're asking me like how should I use Python for lead code? Or you come in, you say I pick Python because it helps me, it's easy for lead code. Your brain's already maybe like I would say it's at the 40% rot phase. Once you hit 80% lead code rot, it's almost terminal, unfortunately. There's going to need to be a massive intervention to get rid of that. How often do I learn new technologies? Dude, I'm reading a book every day. The book I just showed chat. I'm learning new technologies there. Why do companies hire and pay so much for people without skill? And how do people perform at work? And I have no idea. This is how it works. People follow incentives. So if the incentive is imagine a mouse in a maze. The mouse is going to follow the cheese to get to the end of the maze. That's how big tech is hiring at Fang. I almost never ask lead code to candidates because I want to know their fundamentals. But big tech exclusively focuses on lead code, so that's what candidates specialize in. Like they have no idea what an unordered map is. They have no idea what the time complexity is. I asked the dude, "What's the time complexity? What's the time complexity of pushback?" And he said O of 1. I said, well, okay, it's actually amortized O of 1. Do you know what amortized O of 1 means? He said, oh, we learned it in school, but I don't remember. Like, amortized O of 1 is not something you forget over time. You either know it or you don't. It's like saying, oh, I learned how to walk, but I forgot. It doesn't work like that. Um, what roles do soft skills have to play in a coding career? Dude, that's massive. So there's actually another call. If you go to my Patreon, the call's already there for all my patrons. But there's a dude that like he had so many filler words. Every now and then somebody's going to use the word like to just reset their brain. But this guy was using it a lot, and I had to bring it up because if I didn't bring it up, he would have kept using that word, and that's a massive turnoff in an interview. If all you do is use filler words, right? That's part of the soft skills, the social skills. What people don't understand is like tech skills is one of 7 important skill sets to be a good software engineer. I'm going to make a video about that later, but it's one of 7. People focus so hard on the tech skills and they even specialize into the lead code brained part of the tech skills that it's like, dude, you're almost toast. You're almost toast if you just focus on that. Can you help us with your learning process of going through those dense CS books? I have literally a video where I go over 5 of the most dense CS books you need to learn, and I tell you exactly which chapter you need to read. People completely overlook that no one wants to work with somebody they can't have a conversation with. Yeah. Big tech is cooked. Quant is going to be the next real thing. And no hate, CJ, but making videos like this is going to make the quant industry more competitive like big tech. Yeah. So people that are applying for, that's why I ask, like, are you applying for FANG or big tech? Because it's a totally different interview. Because in quant, the way that quant firms work is they're going to ask you fundamentals. And any one of those fundamentals they sniff that you don't know what you're talking about, it's almost like you're done. You're almost done. So in my 2023 cycle, I was interviewing as well. I interviewed like 2023, 2024, and I made this one mistake. And because I'm an interviewer in quant as well, I made this one egregious mistake that looking back to it, I should not have made. And like I can tell the look on the interviewer's face. I can tell like it was over. Like this was in the first maybe 15 minutes. On the 15th minute after the entire maybe 45-minute interview, I knew it was over. And the guy was just like being nice about still talking to me. Because obviously he's not going to say like, okay, bye, see you, dude. Right? So I knew it was over at that point. I knew I wasn't in my flow state. But I'm so surprised that like big tech is just all lead code. Like when are you going to do lead code? When are you going to do lead code on the job? The first thing you're doing if you're a Python engineer is you're checking which version of Python you're using. You're making a folder, you're opening your IDE, you're saving a Python file, and then you're creating a virtual environment. The fact that this guy that was the Amazon software engineer did not even know what a virtual environment is, to me, that's shocking. I don't write Python. I write Python 1% of the time. And even I know what a virtual environment is. How do you have an entire internship and a 4-year degree specializing in Python and you don't know what a virtual environment is? Some of what you're telling us based on your own bad experiences. Not in particular my own, but like I'm an interviewer and I've interviewed like dozens of candidates. I've interviewed at over a dozen firms. So I have good and bad experiences on both sides of the table. And that's why I think I'm a good interviewer because I'm able to ask questions that can filter out candidates extremely quickly. Extremely quickly. Like, what's the point of asking somebody to do lead code and invest all this time and energy? And Shabam, I am Shabam. I know that you're being nice, but you keep spamming my chat and keep emailing me. So I'm just going to you're going to be deleted from my channel effectively. All right, he's gone. Okay, link to Amazon tool I'm talking about. I hope you interview me. Um, what would you recommend for a CS student that's interested in data science path? Um, I, I'm there's actually I didn't post this video, but guys, there's a math major that is that answered. There's a math major that called in that answered my questions better than a CS major can. So my mind's just kind of like, I can't tell you like take these courses in school because it doesn't seem like the schools are even teaching what you need to know in those courses. Like, how can you go through a system? How can tomorrow's call is with a systems major? How can you be a systems major? Tell me you studied malloc in depth in school and think that malloc returns a boolean. So how am I supposed to suggest? I don't even know how to suggest to you guys which courses to take because if the takeaway is that like I spent an entire semester learning about malloc and I learned that malloc returns a boolean, like I have no confidence in the schooling system at that point. You just have to be self-taught at this point. You literally just have to teach yourself. You have to you will you I can guarantee you guys, oh my god, I can guarantee you, lock yourself in a room for 3 days, ask your parents to like pass you chicken nuggets under the door, don't even make human contact, get them to shove those chicken nuggets under the door, close the blinds, delete ChatGPT, and read. Don't even turn on the internet. Download learncpp.org like .coms like text files or even print them out. Lock yourself in a room. Have like the window cracked open 1 centimeter just so you have the minimum amount of breathable air, and then read those 25 chapters. You will know more than 99% of callers. There's just 1% of there's one guy you'll see in my scheduled videos that's a cracked candidate that's like cracked, like really, really cracked. But like you will know more than 90% of callers. So the thing that I don't like is when people call in, what projects should I do, or give me new projects, or tell me what I should like. All this stuff's on my channel. Just go read it and go do it. Um, I don't even know how to pronounce your name, but you're 2100 Leetcodes in. You've been spamming the same question over and over again, so you're being put in a timeout. You're definitely Leetcode brain, dude. You might pass a technical assessment, but you're probably gonna get wiped. Literally any other interview. Another thing that guys is so surprising is, oh, I think I just lost my train of thought. Oh, no, no. Another thing that's so surprising is like some people don't even know their resume. Okay, I get it. You don't know what TCP is because you didn't take that course, but like you don't even know your own resume. So with the Amazon software engineer guy, he literally just finished an internship. What was it this summer? What was that, like 4 months ago? And I asked, guys, this live stream is going to be up. So it's learn CPP. Okay, just go reverse. I don't have to repeat everything 30 times for every person that asked what was a website. I asked him, what did you do? And he talking about like CSV or Andy's file. So he's like, oh, I did a CSV. And I asked him, okay, well, what does CSV stand for? And he said, I don't know. And I said, what's in a CSV? And he says, I don't know. So imagine you go to an interview and he said, I worked with CSV files. And it's just like, okay, well, what's a CSV? I don't know. What's in it? I don't know. It's like, dude, just like get out at this point. Just leave. It's like, so are you lying on your interview? Are you on your resume? Are you embellishing what you did? And then that Amazon software engineer guy, he said, well, it actually wasn't CSV, it was Andy's. And I asked him like, what's an Andy's file? And he spent 20 minutes googling what an Andy's file is. And it's like, dude, it's on your resume. You said you worked with this. So like, why are you googling it? It's like saying I coded in C++ at work, and then I ask like, okay, well, which compiler did you use? And you're like Googling what's a compiler. It's just, I don't know what's going on. I was so shocked with these call-ins, guys. I was so shocked. Um, and I want people to keep calling in because this is how you gauge where you are. This is like a mock technical interview. This is how you gauge where you are, right? So, um, yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. Stay tuned. I think my next live is gonna be maybe, what day is it today? I think it's going to be Tuesday. I think I'm going to do Tuesday at, I think around 12 p.m., either CST or EST. But you'll know in advance because you'll go on my channel and you'll see there's going to be a live stream coming up. So there's going to be a Google Meet link in the chat. You're going to be able to click on it and I'll let people in. I screen people, guys. I screen people. You need to be on camera. And your name in the Google Meet literally needs to be your actual name. If your name is in the Google Meet is Jagmeet and you're some white guy from Missouri, I'm not letting you in. We're not going to talk. You're not going to be on the live stream. Okay? It can't be some. I need to put a name to a face. And your face is not going to be on the live stream, of course, but your voice will be. So don't come in with like random pseudonyms because it's just not going to fly. Okay, guys, I'm going to go to my boarding gate now, but I'll speak to you guys later. And stay tuned for tomorrow, the day after, the day after, the day after's videos because they're crazy and they're good and you guys will learn a lot from them. Okay? All right. See you guys.